Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
Hello, hello. Here, let's get our pictures going. We're back to Idaho today, guys. After an extended stay in Canton, Massachusetts. Shout out to Black Witter and a super planner girl. Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. Okay, without further ado, let's jump right on into this hearing. Now, I have not watched this hearing. Of course, I went through and edited it, and I cut out, the pauses and whatnot. But this is going to be exciting because this is going to be like a first look for me, and I don't know that anybody else has actually covered it. So I have not. I mean, there was a lot going on this week, so it's not really all that surprising. So we might be among the first people. I mean, I haven't really seen much about it, so I think maybe Law and Crime said something about it, but I don't think anybody on LawTube did. So anyway. So this is going to be kind of new for everybody, I think. So let's jump in and see what we got in store. Woo! Cute! Sparkle squirrel. Sparkle squingling. That's what it is. Okay, here we go.
Still a little choppy, but we would like to hear from Detective Mowery today and would call him when it's appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Anything preliminary, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings? Okay, great. Detective Mowery, come on up.
Okay, when he spells his name, I'll put a banner up.
Face the clerk, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
All right, thank you, sir. Go ahead and have a seat there. If you're seated, please state your name and spell your last.
My name is Lawrence Mowery, Mowery.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Taylor?
Thank you.
Lawrence, hold on.
Will you tell us how you're employed?
I'm employed with the Moscow Police Department.
What is your role there?
I am a detective.
How long have you worked for Moscow Police Department?
I've worked for Moscow for over 5 years.
Have you been a detective that entire time?
I have.
And prior to that, did you have law enforcement experience?
Here we go.
How many years total?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, it's blocking judge.
Detective Mowery, did you take part in the investigation into the homicides on King Road?
Yes.
And what was your role?
A lot of different things.
We're going to do it that way. Block judge.
Well, I can ask you about a couple of roles, maybe.
Sure.
All right, let me.
Do you do any work with cell phone?
Okay, sorry. I was trying to get this situated to put his name up there. So, okay. So far, we've got a detective from Moscow PD, and I'm going to back this up a second. So she's basically asking, so we established who he is, and then let me get to her first role question.
I'm employed with the Moscow Police Department.
What is your role there?
What is his role?
I am a detective.
How long have you worked for Moscow Police Department?
I've worked for Moscow for over 5 years.
Over
Have
5
you been a
years? So over 5 years. So that would put him there, what, 2018, 2019-ish? When he
detective
started?
that entire time?
I have.
And
Okay.
prior to that, did you have law enforcement experience?
I do.
How many years
I
total?
would hope so.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Detective Mowery, did you take part in the investigation into the homicides on King Road?
Okay, did you take part? The reason I want to ask, repeat this question is because I think the answer is interesting. So she's saying, did you take part in the investigation into the homicides on King Road? So, okay.
Yes.
And what was your role?
Well, what was your role?
A lot of different things.
I think that's kind of an odd answer. Like, that's kind of a head scratcher. Like, I feel like we've heard a lot of law enforcement testify at various, I mean, obviously this is a hearing, not a trial, but this is a question that they're asked all the time. Typically, I feel like it's a specific answer. Like, that's kind of the point, is that from my everything I know, it's like, it's what do you call it? Like, splitting up. Oh my God, there's a word for it. But when you delegate different duties to different people, right? Like that's the point. It's like, you do, oh my God, what is the word I'm looking for? Specific assignments for specific people. I'm sure someone will know what I'm talking about and be able to tell me the words. I'm having a moment, but, they all have their specific duties, right? That's the whole point. It's like you get here and you do this one thing, right? So anyway, I don't know. A lot of different things is interesting to me. It's just it surprises me. It's just an answer I didn't expect and probably I don't think I've heard from law enforcement.
How to answer that?
He doesn't know how to answer that. Well, that's equally troublesome, I would say.
Well, I can ask you about a couple of roles, maybe.
Sure.
Good.
Do you do any work with cell phones and cell towers?
I have taken training.
All right. Now, see, this is where I get excited because you guys, we know so much about this from Murdoch. Thank you, Murdoch. Because yes, there is a time where a lot of this stuff probably would have not been all that interesting to me and probably felt like it would go over my head and blah. But see, now I hear cell phones and I perk up. I'm so grateful for everything we learned and all the time we really, it would have been so easy to gloss over some of that stuff, right? In Murdoch, including a lot of that stuff regarding the cell phone, because it was like, hard to, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. It would have been easier to gloss over it, but I'm so glad we didn't gloss over it. And we really went through and tried to figure the whole thing out. The only thing that still left a little bit to be desired was confirming some of the stuff regarding the airplane mode versus the Wi-Fi extender versus, like when you have the Wi-Fi option, Wi-Fi calling turned on. I don't think we ever fully satisfied that part of it. However, we did pretty well with everything else. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I agree though, Super Planner Girl. I don't know. It is weird. It's like, I don't know if it's evasion or if it's just like maybe they weren't that good at delegating, right? Because we know it was a smaller department and stuff like that. So it makes me wonder, because like maybe you can help me remember the word, but the word for like, for example, just as an example, again, because I know that you guys have seen this because we've watched it together. But like with Murdoch, like when they first show up at the crime scene, it's all about delegating. They're like, you do this, you take a log, you do the tape, you do the tapey things for the, they all, have their jobs. Delegate. What's the word I'm looking for? Hi, Candace. I'm happy you're here. I'm trying to remember a word. When you share, you split up all the, everyone has their assignment. There's a word for it. I'm just not able to remember it right now. Shout out to Candace. So that's the whole point, right? And so it's weird. So what I'm wondering if it's just because maybe it was a smaller department. Maybe it was like one person had to do a lot of jobs. Okay, delegate does work. Okay, cool. But like that's not what should be happening. Like that's not an answer you want to hear when someone's like, okay, what did you do? And he's like, a lot of different things. I don't really know how to answer that. That's just weird to me. Because like if you like what we're used to hearing is, oh, I did the blank, blankety, blank and blank, like easy. So
Cell phone analysis.
Was that one of the roles that you played in this investigation?
but I'm excited about this.
All right. And the other area that I'd like to talk to you about is the collection of videotape evidence or surveillance evidence from around the community.
Cool.
What was your role in that?
So we gathered a lot of data, a lot of USBs, hard drives that came in.
All right. I'm already excited. So again, I don't know that anybody's covered this. I haven't seen anybody cover this and I have not watched this. I'm excited already because she's giving us an idea into the areas that she wants to cover with him. Right. And so the first thing was cell phone evidence. And the second thing is the surveillance cameras, which this is all really important, right? Because we are still, we know that there's surveillance that was taken from these different establishments and we haven't seen all of it. And then there's also like the surveillance from like the nearby apartments and stuff like that. And, her job, she's trying to figure out like where it came from. And of course we know that there's been videos circulating and people don't know if they're legit or not. And I have no idea. And I don't even know. I don't even remember if there was a consensus on that or whatever. It doesn't matter. But my point is that this is really good stuff because a lot of this hasn't really, it's answers we don't have. And not that we're going to get answers, but my point is like, this is important stuff, right? Because, this has to do with, she's trying to figure out, first of all, like, how did they first identify him as a suspect, right? And then that has to do with the white Hyundai. And so that, and then of course that goes hand in hand with the alibi, right? So the video surveillance and the cell phone stuff is really key here for what she's trying to figure out. But in doing so, we hopefully will learn some more information.
It's given to me so that I could copy it over to a server so that we have it stored and backed up.
Did you inventory it at that time as you got it in, I guess?
Don't have to say inventory. I used the evidence technician to help me book them individually at the time. Right, so the industry had the name of it on it. I would label the folder, what it was, and that came from it.
So I was just thinking to myself, it's kind of hard to hear him. I don't know if you guys saw the bailiff come over. He just moved the mic closer to the dude, which actually is really polite. Instead of asking, interrupting him and asking him to speak up, they just moved the mic closer. So let's see if that helps.
Did you have any role in verifying the content of the surveillance?
No.
Okay. I'm going to have a few questions about that, but I want to talk a little bit more about your role with cell phones and cell towers.
Yay!
So let's start there, okay? What training do you have for that role?
So some time ago, I went through what they say PATC training, which is cellular analysis, and I've also taken classes with CASCOs.
The cellular analysis, is that particular to the device itself, the cell phone device?
No.
That is particular to towers?
To the towers and the providers themselves.
When did you take that training?
This is probably
Well,
cast.
the cast, I believe it was in
Yeah.
2019,
Called
and
it.
then I also did it again last year.
Woo!
And the CAS that you took in 2019, that was
Right,
the ENDICAP, is that right?
We know
That's the
that.
development again, correct?
And the CAS that you took last year was October of 2023, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was the actual CAST training.
They were both done by actual cast members. I'm not sure if one was sponsored by the other, but they were both owned by FBI cast members.
And Your Honor, if I can approach
Yes, thank you.
Detective Mowery, I'm putting in front of you what's labeled as Defendant's Exhibit O, and those are 2 certificates for training. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right. The one that's from 2019, what did that cover?
that covered the use of the CASCO's software.
And what did the one in 2023 cover?
The same.
Your Honor, I move for admission of defendant's oath.
The objection?
No objection.
Okay, those are exhibit. Oh, no objection. Thank you.
The Detective Mowery, how many total hours do those certificates represent of CAST training?
I apologize, I didn't look. It was a week long. It was actually a couple of days each time. 2 days apiece, I
Do you
believe.
need this?
But
Okay, I'm going to go forward just a second because he's just going to talk about how much training he has.
so he
Thank you.
Detective, you've written some reports in this case, is that correct?
yes.
Okay, this is more
I
relevant.
want to talk about 2 particular reports right now. One is from May the 5th of 2023. Do you recall that report, or should I bring a copy of that
Cinco
to
de
you?
Mayo, guys. Cinco
I
de
can
Mayo.
definitely do that.
We have a jury next door.
Okay.
Just so you know.
That's all about it.
So I love Judge. So there must have been some sort of kerfuffle that they could hear in the courtroom, and we couldn't hear it because they were over Zoom. But so now they're going to discuss the report that he wrote on May the 5th of 2023. Also, just so you guys know, I did check right before the stream to see if there was any new documents for Idaho, and there's nothing yet. So I'll continue to keep an eye out. I do believe we have another hearing, though, coming right up. I will check and I'll let you guys know, but I think it's pretty soon here.
Detective Mowery, does that appear to be your report from May 5th of 2023?
Yes.
And Your Honor would move for admission of defendants P?
That's P.
P, like Paul?
All right. Any objection? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Exhibit P is admitted, no objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Mowery, I do not have a police report for the other one that I want to talk about today. It's one that I received via email today that was written just within the last few days by you, probably.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what report I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I want to understand is
Interesting.
we're talking about documents or records or logs that can be created by a CAST-Viz program. The report that you wrote that I received today, when did you learn about those documents that exist according to that report?
Those session logs that I found were from yesterday.
Why did you come to find them yesterday?
I was preparing for this hearing.
Okay. And those are things that existed for quite some time, is that correct?
They did.
And when you wrote about your work with CAST-Viz in May,
Okay, so here's what I'm getting. So she's saying, here's what I'm picking up on. So she's saying he wrote a report Cinco de Mayo on, I don't know why I said it like that, on 2023, May the 5th. And then apparently there was a subsequent report that he apparently just wrote within the past couple days prior to this hearing and just emailed it like the day of, something along those lines. And so I think that what she's trying to get at is why all of a sudden, now, of course, this is standard, right? This is the defense's job. She's like, this is a normal question in my mind that a defense attorney would ask, like, why all of a sudden, right before your hearing, are we getting another report or additions to your report or whatever? I think that's kind of what's going on here.
of 2023,
And again, I'm kind of summarizing it because I know it's a little bit hard to hear. So.
did you document those items?
No,
Tell me what you found when you were preparing for the motion to compel today.
I found session logs that were sent to me from the FBI.
All right. And in those session logs, how many files were there?
I don't remember, I think there were 6 or 7 different items inside.
Did you look at the CAST-Viz 48-hour file?
I don't remember if I did at the time of reception.
Did you look at it yesterday in preparation for this hearing?
I attempted to.
All right. And how about the CAST-Viz full log?
I attempted to yesterday.
I noticed in your report that there were several items that you listed. Were those from these CAST-Viz logs that you attempted to look at yesterday?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to, you need to speak up a little bit, or just telling me to pick up a little bit. Thanks.
There were some files that were in the session logs, there were other files that were not.
Well, let's start with the 48-hour. What was contained in there?
There's
So I'm wondering if that's referring to the 48 hours special. I mean, that's what I would imagine it is. Which I don't think I even watched, but I wonder if that's what she's referring to.
over 48 hours, that was the AT&T records, the original records. And there's a 48-hour session log. I don't know which one you're after.
Let's go with the session log. What was in there?
Appeared to be the AT&T records that possibly were inputted, as well as some JSON files that were probably produced by CAST-Viz.
JSON files were produced by CAST-Viz. Is that right?
I would assume that. I didn't create those files.
What date were they created?
I believe one was in December. The other was in April.
December of what year?
22,
And April of what year?
23.
Could you tell who created those?
I could not.
How did you get those?
I was provided those via email.
By who?
I made balance of the FBI.
What did you do with those?
Gave them as soon as I realized they were in my possession. I had contacted the prosecutor and gave them.
And that would be just yesterday, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do with them prior to that time?
They were sent to me. I put them in a folder and I didn't do anything else with them. That's why I forgot them.
Okay. And that was the 48-hour file?
48-hour session log, yes.
How about the full file? What was contained in there?
Similar items to the 48.
What is the full file?
I believe that was the second AT&T return that we got via warrant. I wasn't able to open it to verify it.
That brings up a question for clarification when you say second warrant return.
So I'm refreshing my memory here in memory lane because we've got so many other cases that are happening. So like, okay, let's just for everybody's sake, let's all just remember what's happening. So like, okay, right after the murders, remember guys, so Moscow PD, they initially didn't call in for reinforcements. And I, for a certain period of time, I have it. So I have all the files for this somewhere. But I don't remember off the top of my head, like what length of time it was, but it was longer than perhaps what was the most reasonable considering it was such a small department. Like I remember the FBI, well, maybe 2 weeks or something. If anyone in the chat remembers, let me know. But, because the FBI is not going to come in and help until they get called in. But as soon as they get called in, they'll be right there. And so there was a little bit of a delay. Like I remember, I feel like it was around 2 weeks, but until that time, they were on their own and they had no experience with this. So, I guess I'm just trying to give ourselves, that context of, like essentially, does it mean that there's anything? I know there's a lot of people that believe all kinds of nefarious things about all kinds of different things, right? But like, I mean, in terms of this particular case, I think that you've got, just like with anything else, right? There's a difference between inexperienced and maybe they make a mistake here or there or whatever versus like, I don't know, something nefarious. And I know people tend to kind of gravitate towards thinking there's something nefarious, maybe perhaps even if there's not. And as we know, mistakes here and there to a certain extent are, they, like every detective and every investigator will tell you there's no such thing as a perfect investigation, right? Everyone's human. We all make mistakes. So anyway, just keeping in mind that anything he did, like, it does, I'm kind of trying to play devil's advocate for myself because some of these things are sounding a little bit, but again, just trying to balance myself out, remembering that they also didn't have any experience with this. And this, they could have maybe called the FBI sooner, but again, hindsight as always is 2020. And anyway, just to think about that. So.
Are you talking about something that relates to Bryan Kohberger?
Yes, there was 2 warrants that were originally written. One that covered a 48-hour period for the cell phone number, and there was one that was later done for a longer period of time.
Oh, okay. All right. Clarification, guys. 48 hours was not referring to the show. It was a 48-hour time period. That kind of makes sense because I was like thinking, why are they not mentioning a network or whatever? He's saying a 40. So there's 2 logs. One is for 48 hours and one is for longer when it comes to the cell phone records.
And those are what you're referring to as the warrants 1 and warrant 2.
Right.
Okay, 48 and one for the
That makes sense.
In the report that I just received today, there was reference to a loped bar file. What's that?
It's a file that I received from Agent Downs.
When did you receive that?
Oh, hold on. Let me rewind that. A what file? A loaf bar? What?
Period of time.
And those are what you're referring to as the warrants 1 and warrant 2.
Correct. Okay, 48 and one for the longer period.
Okay. Yep. That makes sense.
In the report that I just received today, there was reference to a loped bar file. What's that?
I have no idea what she
It's
said.
a file that I received from
Dove bar?
Agent Downs.
When did you receive that?
Honestly, the modification or the email, I honestly don't remember. Unfortunately, it was yesterday and I've been throwing this stuff together, so. Okay.
So that was one that you just found yesterday?
Yes,
Okay. Did you open that?
I don't recall opening it. If I did, I don't recall doing it.
How about the CDR.xlsx file? Would that, and CDR, what does that stand for?
All detail records?
Did you open that?
I don't remember if I did not.
Okay.
Did
So
you
this
open
is
it
interesting.
yesterday?
I mean, already you can, like, here's what I could say. I should mention to you guys, I scoured the freaking internet trying to find any videos of Ann Taylor in trial, like doing trial, right? I couldn't find anything, which isn't all that surprising because there's a lot of really great attorneys who there's just not video footage of them, in trial on the internet. So, but we are getting to see a really great example of how she will do questioning of law enforcement witnesses, or maybe just witnesses in general. Already, I'm curious to know what you guys are thinking. What I'm already thinking is she's doing a killer job because, of course, this isn't trial. There was no direct, right? It's not direct or cross. It's just her asking questions. But already, I feel like you can see how she's going to have the ability to. But this is, and of course, again, this is their job. We know that a good defense attorney, this is what they do. But we're seeing it that she's got the ability here to ask these questions. And what we're hearing, at least to me, it's sounds like, okay, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. It's but you can just hear it's very methodical. She's very methodical in her questions and very linear and easy to follow as well. It's just too bad the sound quality is done on a potato. Other than that, though,
Remember, I was looking for it. Once I found them, I was trying to figure out how they came into my presence or in my possession. That's where I started to post.
Okay. How about the export.kmz file? When did you find that file?
I had found that one yesterday.
Do you know when that came into your possession?
It was some time ago.
Did you open that?
I believe I did on my laptop.
What did that show you?
It showed me different locations and so forth on a map.
Those 3 files that we just talked about, along with the CastViz 48 and the CastViz full, are those copied so that I can have those now?
Yes.
And you referred to emails. How many emails did you find when you were preparing for this hearing?
I believe there was 5.
Are those included for me to have now as well?
Yes.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank God.
In
Y'all,
the report
I don't know
that
about you guys. I was thinking to both of those questions. I'm like, if he says no, I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. Yeah, she's a force. So I'm glad he has those things.
I received today, there was a reference to drawings.json file. What's that?
It was a JSON file that was inside the CastViz session notes.
What does that depict?
It's just data that CastViz would use, I'm guessing, to replot something on the map to actually show the locations or other things.
Did you do anything with that file when you found it yesterday?
I did open that file, yes.
Okay. What did that show you when you opened it?
There were references to 2 locations inside.
When you open it, does it just say, here's 2 references?
Hold on. I'm going to rewind that. References to 2 locations.
Map to actually show the locations or other things.
Did you do anything with that file when you found it yesterday?
I did open that file, yes.
Okay. What did that show you when you opened it?
There were references to 2 locations inside.
When you open it,
2
does
locations.
it just say, here's 2 references, or what does it show you when you open it?
It's different code, but there is some plain language or plain English, plain text inside of that code that show 2 addresses.
Did you use that file? Well,
What this sounds like to me is they're talking about cell phone data. It sounds like he's saying that he's got these records that have 2 different addresses. I don't know. We'll see, but this is interesting.
let me ask this first. That file that contains code, do you use that with the CastViz program?
I attempted to load the session file in its entirety and received errors, so I was not able to. That's why I went into the JSON file to see if there was something I could see reference.
Is that file usable?
I'm sure it is somewhere.
What is the restriction for you?
I don't know what restriction it is. I don't know what to do with that file outside of, if I could possibly bring it into the CastViz. I tried to pull it in as a combined session log, which is what I was trained to do. I didn't get that, I didn't pull that file.
Is that file available on a Discovery drive for me?
Provided to the prosecutor today.
Thank you. In the report that I just got today, there's a reference to another cast viz session and some screenshots. What is that about?
I believe you're talking about just the regular 48 hours folder.
I don't know. I'm curious.
So that I provided two folders. One was cast viz and one was just my last name of Mowery. That was to differentiate the files that I found that were provided to me and the folder of the files that I used to create this report.
Okay. Cast viz is the files that you found while preparing,
Correct.
and the one that says Mowery is what you used to create your May 3rd report of 2023.
Yes.
Okay. I think I understand that now. In that
I thought it
file,
was May 5th.
I think your report said you found screenshots dated April 19th of 2023.
Yes.
All right. Does that mean that's the day that you put things into your CastViz program?
That was the day that I made the screenshots themselves.
Okay. Where are those screenshots now? Are those also included on the drive?
Yes.
Okay. And then your report dated 5/3 says that you were asked to examine the record. So I'm a little confused if you had something that you took screenshots of on 4/19, but on 5/3 you were asked to examine the record. What were you doing on 4/19 or before to get those screenshots?
So I was tasked, the date was May 3rd for the report. It's not the date that I asked.
Okay. What day were you asked to do?
I do not remember. I'm gonna guess that it was somewhere around April 19th. That's when the screenshots were created.
Okay. Let's talk about that time frame then and what you did.
So Super Planner Girl says, do you think her calm, almost monotone demeanor is calculated? Well, I think that it'll be interesting to see how different she is during trial, because this is just a hearing. So, in other words, I don't know that this is really strategy, because I don't, there's no jury, right? So, I mean, she knows people are watching, but it's not like, for example, we've seen her very animated during argument, right? When they're arguing back and forth, like in the previous trial that we watched and stuff, we've seen her be more animated. But again, it'll be really interesting to see once we get to trial. And I don't know if you heard that part, but I did look and see if I could find anywhere on the internet videos of her during trial, and I can't find any. So, but I thought it would be fun to watch it if they existed and see what she's like. So, the other thing is that the audio quality is awful because this is a Zoom call. So we could be missing some inflection as well that way. But she's definitely been more animated. I think in other words, to try to answer this, I think it's really just mostly because of the nature of that this is a hearing and she's just asking questions, and then also the audio is shit. Like, that would be kind of what I think. But yeah, good question.
Did you actually use a CastViz program at that time to create something?
Yes.
The CastViz program that you used at that time, and we're talking about springtime of 2023, we'll call it April for now, if that's fair. What training had you received by then to do this CastViz program?
The 2019 training.
Okay. With the CastViz program, what's the first thing that you did?
Once the program is open, you can drag and drop the CDR records into the program.
CDR means call detail records.
Right.
Did you do just 48-hour records, or did you do full records in April of 2023?
I only did 48-hour records.
When you put the records in, those are the call detail records, and those relate to what?
To the phone that the records were coming back to.
The number you associated with Bryan Kohberger.
Correct.
Okay. After you put those call detail records in, do you have to do anything with cell towers?
With the AT&T, no, because the cell tower locations are in the AT&T CPR.
Okay. So you put that record in, the tower locations are already part of the call detail record that you put in.
Yes.
Is that something that you have electronic on your computer and then you open your CastViz program and just import it into the program?
Yes, AT&T provides both PDF and text documents of the file, and I use the text document to put into CastViz to have it ingest.
And when you do that, what gets exported?
Nothing. At that point, nothing is exported or created that I know of.
Can you export the session that you're working on?
You can export a session log, yes.
Did you do that?
No.
How did you create screenshots?
By using the built-in Windows snip tool, as well as the built-in Windows game console, I believe they call it the game bar, which is just accessed by hitting Windows G. That allows you to record your screen.
That's how I do it.
Are those the only two things you did, is screen clip and screen record?
That is really fucking
Yes.
funny.
How many times did
That is so
you
funny.
use call detail records in the CastViz program?
Probably a dozen times. I'm not entirely sure.
That was a terrible question. How many times did you use the CastViz program in relation to Bryan Kohberger's call detail records?
I don't know.
More than once?
I recall doing it for the grand jury because I wasn't the main lead in the call detail records investigation.
I don't understand what that means.
I wasn't the main person looking at those call detail records.
You weren't the main person with the call detail records, but you put them in the CastViz program anyway?
For the grand jury, I was requested.
Okay. What did you rely on in producing those? Producing whatever you produced for the
Because
grand jury?
remember, hold on. So remember, she's got a bunch of different things she's got going here, and Taylor does. She's got all these different avenues. She's got the alibi, not an alibi situation, right? She's got the DNA, like in other words, by things she's going, what am I talking about? I'm talking about things that she's still trying to kind of, what's the right word? What to say? The things she's still trying to authenticate slash poke, ask questions about, or it's, in some cases, she's just kind of like full on, like tried to fight, like with the grand jury, in other words, long before getting to trial, right? These are just like her initial strategies, right? So we've got the DNA, the IgG, right? She's not fighting the DNA on the buckle or on the sheath or the buckle swab. She's fighting the IgG. And then we've got this grand jury, right? So she's still bringing that up again. Remember guys, back when they wrote that whole motion that went all the way back to before like the Magna Carta, and it was like trying to say that the burden of proof for the grand jury is incorrect and all that. That was like one of the best hearings ever. I loved it. And then she's got the whole thing with the alibi. So now she's saying, oh, so you were the one that prepared this for the grand jury. So I think she's kind of back to that train of thought right now.
What did I produce? As far as the AT&T records?
I want to know what
Like
you
in other words, if his preparation, right? Okay, what do I mean? So if his preparation for what the grand jury relied on to return an indictment was faulty, then that's something she can work with, right? Because she keeps trying to get this grand jury thrown out, like, and that's a common strategy. Yeah, I agree. She's very tactical. Absolutely. I mean, this is what you want. Like, this is what you want. I mean, she's not leaving any stone unturned. And you know what? It's great for everybody. It's great for justice, because this is the best way to do a number of things. This is the best way to make sure the prosecution and law enforcement do their job correctly. Like, great example for contrast is the Karen Reed trial, right? So, of course, there's great defense attorneys in that case, but my point is that, like, somehow the law enforcement is, they're getting obliterated essentially, right? Like that's my point, right? If you don't want to get obliterated, if you don't want to get embarrassed on the stand. So, in other words, but having attorneys like her, it's making everybody do their job properly. But also remember, guys, this is going to solidify if a guilty verdict is returned, right? If a guilty verdict is returned, we're not going to have to worry about anything happening on appeal. Now, of course, there's always going to be appeals, but that's part of it, right? In other words, it doesn't matter which party you are, right? If you're a defense or prosecution, you want a proper trial with a just verdict, and you want to do it once. Like, I guess technically if you're the defense, you'd rather them it get, overturned on appeal, but it's not because you want to do the trial over again, right? It's because you want, if you believe that you're whoever you're representing, if you believe they didn't, that they are not guilty. But still, I think that in a lot of cases, there's times where even the defense attorneys will concede to the fact that it was a just verdict, even if it was a guilty verdict. Like you'll hear times where defense attorneys are like, this isn't what we were hoping for, but like we agree with the jury's verdict or something like along those lines. Like we hear that. Right. Lolly bye. She's the antithesis. Yeah, absolutely. Jeez, Lolly. Yeah. So all of this is important. It's really important. And I think it gives us, for me, it gives me hope because she's a public defender. And she's fighting harder than we see many defense attorneys fight for their clients, that even if they aren't a public defender. So
To do that, to produce something for the grand jury.
I don't understand the question.
Okay. You weren't the main guy with the call detail records or with the CASVIZ programming. Did I understand that much right?
There was another investigator that was doing that.
Okay. But you end up involved in it somehow in April of 2023, is that right?
That's when I was asked to examine the data to provide that for.
it looks like Santa Claus's beard is a little bit longer over there and fuller. What do you guys think? Is he fluffing it out? Is he doing a little spruce with his beard over there? It looks a little bit more voluminous
Okay.
than last time.
Was that all of your instruction?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're asked by somebody else who's actually doing this part of the investigation in the case to produce something for the grand jury to use. And I'm curious about what you relied on, to get to that
So
point.
she's still having to ask this. Interesting. That's the same question. I already like summarized that question a few minutes ago, and she's still having to ask that question. He's not really answering it. It's the same question I was saying. She's like, hey, what did you rely on in order to present this evidence to the grand jury, which the grand jury then relied on and returned an indictment, right?
I want to know all the records you relied on, all of the emails, all of the conversations you relied on to produce this thing that you're not the expert for.
So I wrote the affidavit for the AT&T records, received the AT&T records. Those records were also given to another investigator who was the main investigator doing the CDR records. Prosecution then asked me to provide or create some type of visualization of the call detail records and examine the call detail records for the 4 hours in question. That.
Just to be really sure, when you talked about writing the 2 warrants for AT&T, we're talking about 2 warrants that relate to Bryan Kohberger. There were a lot of other warrants. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be really clear on that. You've taken the CAST training. Is that right?
Yes.
And there's a way to save your session. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there's also a way just to hit reset and delete your session. Do you know that part too? And back in April, when you were creating something for the grand jury, you hit reset. Is that right?
Or I just deleted the files out of it. I don't remember if I hit reset or delete. You can delete them individually as well.
You don't remember which thing you did,
I do.
but you decided to delete what you'd created.
don't know, I didn't delete anything. I
All right,
didn't
what's
create the
happening
session
right
log, so I
now?
don't know
For
how
anyone
to-
who's just joining us or just can't hear because potato audio, as per usual. So Ann Taylor is questioning, this is Detective Mowery from the Moscow PD. He was one of the, I guess, lead detectives initially on the case. And he was responsible for, according to him, a lot of different things, which is weird. But among them was the cell phone shit. So what they're talking about right now is he was the one who prepared the cell phone files upon which the grand jury relied on to return an indictment. And what happened just now is she's asking him, because apparently what had happened was there's a way that when you're doing this cast data, you can delete, you have like, there's a history whenever you go in there and do shit. And you have an option there where you can save it or you can delete your history, akin to deleting a Google search history, kind of like House Long to Die in the Cold, for example. And it's like that type of thing from what I can gather. And it sounds like maybe he potentially did that. And yeah, Super Planet Girl Boy says, oh boy, that's my thought exactly. Because it's like, regardless of what any of this, like you're not going to get away with anything with her. I don't think. Like, I just, like I said, when initially earlier on, when he was like, yeah, I have the email, I was like, thank God, like he's not, he could get massacred otherwise, Like, I hope you brought a
You delete the
bad
reference
rest.
of the file in the software, but the file itself is not deleted.
I want to make sure I understand.
Uh-oh.
The record, the AT&T record still exists. You didn't delete that.
Correct.
But the session, when you put that in to the Cast Viz program, and it does its thing with the call detail records,
It
which
does its
includes
thing.
tower references, you
Oh.
either deleted that.
It includes tower references. Uh-oh. It remains to be seen how significant this is going to be, but we heard the word tower references. And remember, like I was trying to predict this, and I think I got I think this is going to be going to the alibi theory, right? Because remember, they've been trying to buy themselves time with this quote unquote alibi, not alibi. And remember the last time they submitted it, it was like just more of the same, but it was like that he was at that park, which I can't pronounce that name. I don't remember what it was, some crazy name. Anyway, so, and part of that, but like they didn't get more specific. And I'm wondering if part of that is why, like if that's why we're hearing from him, because she's trying to get more information, right? Anyway, this is interesting. Towers. Okay.
Session, or you chose to reset. Did I understand that right?
Didn't create a session log. I don't know how I would delete it. I just removed the reference to the file, the main file, from the software at some point. I don't know when I did that.
You don't know when you did that?
No, you can close the software without hitting reset or delete.
And then it would just stay there.
I deleted that.
And you can also export your session if you get interrupted and you want to come back and work on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do that? You left it up and running at some point and then did something that didn't save it. Is that right?
The session log was never created. Did not create a session log.
Uh-oh.
The CDR records I was dealing with is
Uh-oh.
relatively small.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So
Well,
The-
that doesn't sound good. We'll see what happens. Like in other words, he's saying he didn't even create a session log. Like that doesn't sound good, right, guys? Like again, if this was a trial, we would have people going back and forth on what this means and blah, blah. But like, we'll see. But that doesn't sound, it sounds like you're probably supposed to create a session log, right?
to do that because I can ingest the files right back into Castviz in a short amount of time.
Your Honor, just for clarity, may I approach? I have another exhibit to show him.
So I just
Are you familiar with the document that was handed to you that's marked Defendants W?
Well, what do you think
Yes.
of Santa's beard? Do you think it's more
And have you seen that before?
Has he spruced it up?
Is that something that you were taught from the Cast Users Guide?
I'm sure I was. It's also included in the software that can be readily accessed.
Okay. And Your Honor, we'd move for admission of defendants W.
Thank you. No objection. Okay, that exhibit W is admitted.
Thank you.
No objection.
In your training, were you also taught from the cast field user's guide?
I believe so.
I'm about ready to
Okay.
switch.
I'm gonna make a scroll prediction. I'm gonna make a scroll prediction. You guys ready for squirrely crystal ball time? Squirrely crystal ball time is this. She's gonna pull up the user guide or handbook or whatever guidelines they use. And my prediction, I could be completely wrong. This is just for fun, is that it's gonna say that every time you go in and do something, you're supposed to create a login file session thing. The thing that he didn't create, the login session. My guess is it's gonna say you're supposed to do that. That would be my guess.
Switch gears on you and talk a little bit more about
We'll see.
videos for a second, but if I can have just one moment, Your Honor.
Sure. Thank you.
Right. Okay, let's switch gears for just a minute. You, during the course of your work, did you make contact with the Idaho Department of Transportation to talk about some of the cameras that cover main roads coming into and out of
Guys,
Moscow?
This
Yes.
is exciting.
And did you attempt to make preservation of any items?
Yeah.
What items did you want
Okay.
preserved?
I was trying to see if they had saved video or still images from those.
Okay.
events,
This is new information. I
What
think.
did you learn?
That they do not regain those.
Oh,
Did you,
What?
when you say they do not retain those, do you mean they don't retain videos or pictures or both?
Well,
Did you do a preservation for anything?
I'm sorry. That's stupid. They're saying that. Hold on. Let me hear that again. The Department of Transportation, as in this is a government entity. Hold on. Wait. Back it up. Hang on.
They don't retain videos or pictures
Hold
or
on. Let me go back.
video or still images from those events,
what did you learn?
that they do not regain those.
I didn't hear the
Yes.
building.
And did you attempt to, I'm about ready to switch gears on you and talk a little bit more about videos for a second, but if I can have just one moment, Your Honor.
Sure. Thank you.
Right. Okay, let's switch gears for just a minute. You, during the course of your work, did you make contact with the Idaho Department of Transportation?
Yep, I heard it correctly. See, my brain was like, "There's no way." I don't know. It was Idaho Department of Transportation does not save. You guys, I'm sorry. Hold on. Deep breath. This is a government entity that doesn't save. Let's hold on. Let's listen again. I can't believe this can't be real.
To talk about some of the cameras that cover main roads coming in.
I'm sorry. Hold on. The Idaho Department of Transportation, which has the surveillance cameras that cover the main roads. Like that's what they do. That's their job. Oh my God. What?
To and out of Moscow.
Yes.
And did you attempt to make preservation of any items?
Yeah.
What items did you want preserved?
I was trying to see if they had saved video or still images from those events,
What did you learn?
that they do not regain those.
Did you,
Pardon me. What? They don't retain those? The Idaho Department of Transportation does not retain surveillance videos of the traffic on the main roads in and out of town. Like what?
when you say they do not retain those, do you mean they don't retain videos or pictures or both?
Well,
This is insane.
Did you do a preservation for anything?
not recall studying actually a preservation letter out.
Okay.
What?
Your Honor, if I can have another exhibit provided.
What?
Yes. Thank you.
I am very confused right now because that
What do you recognize that exhibit?
So these were emails that I was trying to find some kind of contact information for windy.com, the website that does weather-related information as well as has some links
Hi,
to
Iowa.
images from
Happy you're
cameras that
here.
are covering the highway.
And did you learn that you could have some still shots preserved?
I did.
Did you have some still shots preserved?
I did not.
Oh boy.
Your Honor would move for admission of defendants PP.
Okay, what's this gonna be?
That's what, I'm sorry, PP?
Double P, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Ah!
Exhibit PP
Judge kind of laughing to himself. That's funny.
is exhibit or admitted. No objection.
When we started talking, we talked about you kind of being the guy that would book or take videos in from different agencies, even if you didn't verify what was on the device you received. Is that right?
Yes.
And do you, I have a specific one a couple of them I want to ask you about. One is from Red Star Coffee Shop. Do you recall receiving that video?
I do not.
Okay.
That's interesting. I don't think we've heard about that. Brit Star Coffee Shop. Let me rewind that. So this is why this stuff is interesting. Again, I don't know that anybody's covered this hearing. And it's not the easiest to hear. It's not the most exciting compared to some of the other ones. However, this it sounds like some more new information. Does this mean that they think he went there? Hold on, let me hear. I didn't go back far enough. Sorry, guys. Hang on, hold tight.
Even if you didn't verify what was on the device you received. Is that right?
PP.
Yes.
And do you, I have a specific one a couple of them I want to ask you about. One is from Red Star Coffee Shop.
All right, I'm going to look it up. Brit Star, I have no idea how to spell that, but we're just going to go with it. Coffee Shop. I'm guessing this is somewhere near Moscow. Let's just see. No, not coffee. Coffee. Spell coffee correctly, please. No, not in North Carolina. Oh my God, y'all. Okay, let's try Idaho. This is interesting. Maybe it's in Washington. Let me keep playing this.
Do you recall receiving that video?
I do not.
Okay. And are you aware that it was booked in or brought in by Idaho State Police?
Interesting.
How would I find out about those videos?
I don't know. You'd have to go through the USB drives to find out what was given. I was just given the
Did you guys hear Brit Star?
mass USB drives. I was not given them individually by the people that were bringing them in for time. Given to them after it had been handed off to other investigators and other assistants that were helping the calls.
Is there somebody else I should ask about specific ones to track where they went?
I don't know. I don't have that information.
Huh.
Okay. All right, give me just a minute, Your Honor.
Sure.
So it sounds like they want surveillance footage from that and it doesn't exist.
Thank you, Detective Mowery. I don't have any other questions for now.
Okay. All
Hold
right.
on, the
There you
prosecutor.
go.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Jennings, Mr. Thompson.
Ms. Jeans. Sure.
Okay, Ms. Jennings.
Mowery, I want to go back and talk a little bit about this past this program. Can
Okay.
you explain to me generally what is cast?
So now it's the prosecution's turn to ask him some questions, so this is just like we're used to seeing, but the defense went first. So.
It's just a software that is useful in creating visualizations of the call detail records.
Okay. So how is it useful? What does it show?
It shows the location and the direction of the cell towers and their sector antennas.
Okay. Now, what version of CastViz do you have?
Currently, I think I have 33 on my laptop. It's prompted me to update to 38. But at the time, I believe I had version 30 installed.
I'm not finding this copy.
So walk me through. You start up the software program,
Yes,
and then what do you do?
drag the text file from the CDRs into the system. It ingests the files and then produces a display of that data.
Okay. And is that what you did on the 19th?
Yes.
And then what did you do with that visual that was displayed?
Those visuals, I created screenshots, created the screen capture of the video. Casper's also allows
No,
the
it is
timeline playing.
interesting to me. Why the hell, I'm sorry, why the hell is law enforcement, period, doing screenshots and screen captures and screen grabs? Like, it's the same as with Higgins and, Karen Reed. Why is he doing screenshots and screen captures and whatever of anything when he's a detective? There's no why. I don't understand. I don't understand.
You that you can record separate from Windows Note and some software. I can save those.
Other than uploading the CDRs, did you change any of the settings on CastViz?
The only thing that I would have done was gone in and changed made sure that the time was correct because they were coming in at UTC, so coordinated time. I wanted to make sure that those were representative of the local time.
All right, so you just changed it to Pacific.
Correct.
Any other changes?
No.
I don't think that's the
So
biggest.
you were talking about how
It's more
it
like
does not automatically save.
creating a log file.
It does not.
Okay. And you chose not to save.
No. And in the exhibit that was provided, the actual text says that if you need to save a session file.
And can you tell me why didn't you
But why?
save these settings?
I was creating the visualization exhibits.
Uh-huh.
That's what I was doing with that.
Any reason to save the settings?
No.
Could this be recreated or redone in the same fashion?
Yes, I can, again, open the software and drag the CDRs back in very short
I will
time
say
is
that.
generated.
I will say this. Her question was, is there a reason to save the settings? I would say there is a reason, because you know that if you're law enforcement, at some point, every single thing you do is going to be scrutinized whenever the case you're working on goes to trial. And you know what else I would say? There's no, like, her question is there any reason to save it? Well, my question would be, is there any reason not to save it? Like, why wouldn't you save it? It's not like, are you trying to save hard drive space? Like, we know that shouldn't be an issue, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to not save it if you know someone's going to ask you if you saved it or not. So, I don't know. It just seems like at this point you should be able to foresee this type of stuff.
It would give you the same information.
Yes,
Is that why you didn't save it?
yes.
I want to switch over to the other session files that you found. Were those session files created by you?
No.
Okay. And did you ever use those?
No.
And have you now turned those over, provided those?
Yes.
Now I want to switch gears over to what we were discussing as windy.com. What is that? What is Windy?
It's a website that is available for weather, such.
Windy, huh?
Okay. And why is that relevant in this case?
We were directed by, I think it was Captain Corporal Payne that told me that we should look into windy.com
And why is that?
just to see if they retained video from the cameras themselves.
Okay, so windy.com has cameras.
They had screenshots. They basically capture the ITD cameras and put them on their website. Those images are routinely purged from their site for the administration of that.
Okay. And can you explain to me, when are those, you talked about them being purged from their site? What's that schedule?
From going onto their website yesterday, it's a public website, so they
Super Planning Girl, did she say Red Star, not Brit Star? I mean, Brit Star didn't make any sense, but that's what I thought she said. Did she say Red Star? Okay, hang on. Let's take a look.
we go back to it. I don't remember exactly. I believe that within 24 hours, it's hourly. Within a week, it's daily. Within 12 months, it's monthly. And then after that, I believe I was seeing probably like 3 months or so.
Interesting.
Can you explain?
All right, y'all. So Red Star, I just saw a little picture. It's right next to that Valero gas station. Remember, we've heard about that gas station. I think that's actually some of the footage that was first released when they were first looking for the Elantra, if I recall correctly. You guys might remember too. Like I remember they talked about that, like the convenience store gas station situation. And they talked about how like that had captured it. It looks like this coffee shop, Red Star Coffee, thank you, Super Planner Girl, for finding this, is right beside that Valero. Yep. It is. It's on Pullman Road. Yep. Yes, indeed. In Moscow, Idaho. Interesting. Okay. Huh. So maybe what we'll do on the next episode is we'll do like a field trip with some map time out there and take a look. But that is interesting. I have not seen that in any of the documents or heard about that. So that's a new piece of information. And I don't know that, it could be that she's saying, I don't know that it's about him stopping for coffee. I think they're thinking that there could be different surveillance footage from that location if they had surveillance footage, but apparently they don't. So it's a teeny little place. Wow. Everybody looks really happy to work there. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, the cameras, exactly. Yeah. Wow, it's teeny. Holy crap. I'm still shocked. What is the Idaho Department of Transportation doing? Sorry, but like they don't keep their surveillance footage on the main roads. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Someone help me understand that.
Why you didn't preserve
Exist, if you're
those
just
images for Wendy.com?
When it was discussed with other investigators, we would have only gotten, I believe it was one image a day. Time frame wasn't what we were interested in, so we didn't capture that once.
So there is no evidentiary value.
None that we did. Okay.
Well,
And have you since gone back and found some screenshots?
I mean, but you see, the thing is like, rightfully so, how it's not fair for them to determine what's of evidentiary value. We've actually heard Ann Taylor argue this, and I agree, because things that that the prosecution may not deem of evidentiary value to them might be of evidentiary value to the defense. Now, I don't mean necessarily in this case Brady violation, because that's different. That's when there's exculpatory evidence, so they would know it's of value, right? But my point is, like, there could be evidence that they don't know is of value. But it could be like as you go through this, you can really see why the defense is like really saying, please turn everything over. Please turn everything over. It makes sense, right? Because they should have the opportunity to sift through it all the same way the prosecution does and decide what's important to them. And something that the prosecution doesn't deem as of evidentiary value, they might find value there, right? Shout out to Tennis Girl. Happy you're here. I think, well, let's see if I've got your command right today. Happy to see you, my friend. By the way, did you send a super chat or a super sticker the other day? Because if you did, I don't know why and I don't know when it was, because somehow I completely missed it during the stream. It did not pop up, but it looks like I got a notification-y thing like after the fact from a few days ago. And so I just wanted to say that if that happened and I completely missed it, I'm so sorry, but thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm sorry I didn't see it at the time. But that was very generous, and that was very generous and kind of you. So thank you for that. But I wanted to let you know that it did come through, like just delayed. It came up actually on the YouTube Studio app for whatever reason. It didn't come up on the live stream. So, but I did see it. So thank you for that. And happy you're here. So we are just trying to figure out why on earth, well, I am anyway, why Idaho Department of Transportation does not save any of its pictures or surveillance camera footage on the highways and main roads. What is your point then? I just can't figure it out. Thank you, Tennis Girl.
It's what's available on the publicly available website.
Anyone can go to Wendy.com and grab screenshots there.
And you've now done that?
I have.
Anything of evidentiary value?
No.
Have those been turned over anyway?
Oh, right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was harping on the fact that this is kind of annoying me, because you can see how it's funny. You can see how the defense attorneys get ticked off, like, because you've got a prosecutor asking someone who's a detective on the case, she's asking him if it's of evidentiary value. But it's like, honestly, who's he to determine it, right? I mean, it should be up to the prosecution and the defense to sift through stuff and decide. But whatever. That's just me saying that. So, oh, okay. That might be why I didn't see it. Okay. Well, thank you.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. You read that?
Yes, just a bit. You were just speaking with the prosecutor about the images from Wendy.com. And I thought you didn't preserve anything or go back and look at anything during your investigation. Did I misunderstand that?
So yesterday when I was directed by the prosecutor.
Okay, so yesterday the prosecutor said, go look for these things.
Yes.
But before that, you and other investigators decided not to. Did I get that right?
With the information that we were given, we were told that there would be a screenshot for the day, if I remember right, the parameters of. We did not grab those because they were not in the. Didn't see that they would be relevant.
But you didn't look back then. You waited until yesterday. Is that right?
No, we looked back then. I couldn't tell you what time. Most of the photos that were taken for the Davy screenshot or the Davy screenshots were daytime. And what the days kind of thing. So we didn't grab those at the time.
Okay, but you did look at the time and made a decision at the time. Do I understand that now?
Yes.
Okay. Back to the cast viz for a couple of questions for you. When you were doing the work back in April of 2023, did you see maps on the screen with the work that you were doing?
Yes.
And you also made a video of that. I want to show you a map and see if it's what I think it is.
I wish they would display things for us. Tennis girl, are you referring to the hearings? Or are you referring to documents, or what are you referring to?
You have defendants R in front of you. What is that?
Appears to be a screen capture of the cast is software.
Screen capture.
Is that a screen capture from a map that you made?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor would move for admission of defendants R.
Oh, good. Please show us. Please, please, please.
Is it ours? Admitted? No objection.
And are you aware that when you can see mapping on your screen on this program that there's a log created? Okay. You would agree that if
Okay, documents and filings. I will say, I don't know if you've ever checked out the website on the Idaho website, but like, if you look at how much, and I think I showed y'all on a live stream at some point where I scrolled and just to show you the difference of how many documents from the difference between this case and like all the other cases in Idaho, including like Chad Daybell. But like, I will say there's like a fuck ton of documents. So for what's interesting is like, however, I don't even know how to keep track at this point of what they have kept out, like in terms of documents. But what I will say is there's a fuck ton of filings. It's like absurd. Okay. Right. Like, okay, hang on. Let me see if I can work some magic. Well, you know what? We're almost done with this hearing. We'll take a look, and Tennis Girl, we're going to take a look together. Also, we can check to see if there's anything. We'll take a look together after this hearing because the hearing's almost over, and that way I can share my screen.
I were to take the call detail records that have the tower report in them, I would have to have the same cast version you were using to recreate what you did. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you have to have, if I took the regular cell call detail records and put them into a different version of cast, are you saying that it would become different?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Let me try to be more clear about the one I was asking, and then I like yours. We might talk about your question as well. My question is, and the prosecutor suggested that your work be recreated. And so it didn't matter that you hadn't saved your session. What I want to know is if I have the 48-hour call detail records that contain the tower list like you have, do I have to have the Cast Viz program that you used so I can see what you did?
I don't know, because I don't know what the back end of the CastViz software does. I'm just new, so I don't know.
And you were in this CastViz program, at least for a while, creating exhibits that would be relied on. Is that right?
Yes,
On more than one occasion. Is that right?
yes.
But you didn't save your work.
Always save your work,
Did
guys.
not create a session log.
In school.
That's even need.
Would you agree I can't see what you did without your session log? Can't examine what you did without your
Like I
session
said,
log?
I knew that was going to come
So
back
to
to bite.
create the visualizations for the exhibits, that's what I use CastViz.
But I can't see what you did.
Yeah.
Is that right?
There's no
Is that
reason
right?
not to save it. Seriously, though.
No,
No, it's not right, or no, I can't see what you did.
you cannot, but I could take those cell data or call data records, put them into CastViz again. The results would be what they are because we're still using the same records from AT&T to create
Have you done that?
these records.
Yes.
No.
Thanks, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anything on that, Ms. Jennings?
Back. We go, why did you pull the CDRs into CastViz?
Why did I do that in April?
Mhm.
Because I was asked by you to do it for the tender.
Okay, is that the only reason you did it?
Yes,
Is that the only time you did it?
yes.
Okay.
That I remember. I mean,
Follow up on that question?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, great. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, please.
Any objection? Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
All right. So let's take a look. Hold on. Let's take a look. All right. For you, tennis girl, because I love you. We're going to take a look. I'm going to show you guys. All right. Some music for this adventure. If you can call it that. All right. Here we go. Oh, let me get rid of this ticker. Hold on. I remember when it was like a whole thing. Remember, guys? Do you guys remember? It wasn't that long ago when I was like going to share my screen and it like took me forever. And I'm like, why don't I see it? What do I do? Now I'm like, I can do it in a second because now I've got it. I've just done it enough times. And now I'm like, oh yeah, I can share my screen. Here we go. All right. I was laughing at myself too because I was like, here's some music, but it was just like nonsense. Okay. So, now I'm wondering if I can make it bigger. That's what she said. Because this should be, hold on, let me see if I can make it bigger. I think I have to stop sharing it to make it bigger. Hold the phone. Ah, that's better. All right, here we go, people. All right, this is the website that I check every day. This is my life. So if you want to find it, you can either type in this thing here at the top, or you can just do a Google search for Idaho cases of interest. It'll take you right to this page. Let's take a look. So this is what I wanted to show y'all. So first of all, you can see you've got your court live streams right here. So, you know, if you ever feel so inclined. But here's all these different cases. Okay, so let's take a look. So we've got this one, Hawkins Companies. There's not that much there. State of Idaho versus Skylar Wade Mead. In case anyone's curious, I have inquired into that to see what it was. It's someone who was already like a convicted felon who I guess like escaped or something, and so now they're in bigger trouble. I have not looked into this one, but here's another one. So like, there's how many documents you have. Okay, State of Idaho versus Tia J Garcia. Okay, and so I've got this mouse with the scrolling thing, and so I'm scrolling so we can see State of Idaho versus Jeremy Albert Best. I forget. I did look at this one. I forget what it was that they said he did. This has a few more documents than that one. All right. Now we get to this. So this is what I wanted to show you guys, because for whatever has been sealed or what have you, there's a fuck ton. And we're going to take a look. Because this is every single one of these things is a document that is open to the public to read. Okay. Every single link. Let's take a look. I'm going to start with my Jeopardy music. finally at the end. That's a lot. Now, let's take a look at how many for Chad. And I'll do the same music, and that way we can see it. We're going to use it as a timer because I didn't think of actually timing it with the scroll. I just thought of that now. So, all right, we have to start back in the original key. So, do 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 do. So we got 1.5 rounds of Jeopardy versus 2 full rounds, I believe, or maybe longer for BK. But you can see there's a big difference. Like it's a big, like, so every time I go to check for anything new for BK, I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom because they're in chronological order. It's a lot of scrolling. Yeah, so that's why I wanted to show you, because I totally hear what you mean. But here's the thing that I think we can appreciate with this. When we hear snippets from other channels or like on Law and Crime or wherever it is, anywhere, right? And it's like they just give you a snippet of so and so and wants a thingy thing, right? Fill in the blank. But that's all we hear. It's easy to think that that's all that happened. But like the thing is like, and this is why I've made a commitment to you guys once I started covering this, of course, really late on to the game, but because I just started doing it recently. But my goal is I'm going to cover every document. And so far, I've done that since I just started covering it. We're going through every document. And sometimes they're not long, and that's why I do just like a live premiere, because it's like a 6-minute read through or whatever. But we're going to do every document and every hearing. And the reason is because otherwise most people aren't going to hear about the documents. And so and even on LawTube, they they'll cover most of the documents, but they won't cover maybe every document, but but most of them, right? But because not all of the documents are really all that important. But my goal is to go through all of them, even just so we can just see how it works, see how the process works. And so but that's the thing, is until you see it, it's hard to really believe it, right? But I totally see what you mean, because I totally agree that like that's what we end up hearing, right? Is like that a lot of it is sealed. And having said that, they did fight to keep the hearings, like, because we covered that, like they did fight for that to be sealed, and they ended up with most of it ended up. They went back and forth, right? But like now most of it's unsealed, except for there's only that one portion that's going to be sealed. Actually, I'm glad we're here, guys, because I meant to check. We've got another hearing coming up, and I don't think I still have this document. So let me pull this up so we can check together, and we'll see when the next one is, because it should be soon. See, I usually use Firefox, but it looks like it's working. Okay. All right. So this week, and this is the document that I covered in that video, but this has the dates. Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay. So, all right. So the next one is May 30th at 1:30. Now there should be 2 on that day, if I recall. No, it's just that one. Okay. So let me just double check. So, oh no, I was right. I was initially right. Sorry. All right. So May 30th at 10 o'clock. So we got 2 on May 30th. We have May 30th at 10 o'clock. That is going to be open to the public. And if I'm available, I will stream it. And depending on if Karen Reed, and I don't know what the fuck will be going on with that. It's hard to say. But May 30th, I don't even know. That's this week, right? So May 30th at 10 o'clock. And that will be open on the court's live stream. And then, and if it is during something crazy with Karen Reed, then I'll cover it later that day or whatever, like I usually do. And then the next one is the same day, May 30th, but at 1:30. And that is going to be the IGG shit, and that's going to be closed. So in other words, with all the different portions of these hearings, the prosecution wanted all of it closed. And what ended up happening is all of it is open, with the only exception being this one portion with IGG at 1:30. That's the only thing that's going to be closed. And that was that's, I will say, that's been consistent. Judge has been consistent about that. So that doesn't surprise me, because he says it's protecting the names of private citizens who are listed there. So hopefully that helps to see. But yeah, this is all available to the public, and they make it really easy. And I will say too, looking for court documents, I will say that I'm pissed off right now that Idaho's Department of Transportation has failed so epically by not maintaining any of their surveillance footage. Like, what are you doing? But I will say this website is awesome. It's really easy to navigate. It makes it really accessible for anything that's being like the live streams, right? It has up there the live streams, the documents. It even has on here instructions for how to, if you want to submit a document for like almost kind of like a FOIA request, it has steps for that. I have not seen many other government websites for other states that have this type of thing where it's accessible. It's usually really hard actually to find stuff, some of the stuff, and they make it really easy to use. It's organized and they update it every day. So I will say props to them for this website. It has been absolutely I can't even like overstate how valuable this has been. And I do really appreciate it. And again, other states don't have this type of resource. So yeah, I will say, yeah, you're welcome. So I'm glad that helps. Yeah. So I wish every state had something like this, and I think they should. I think they should. This is what it's about, right? Like this is, because this is for whatever's decided to be open, at least if, things are, hopefully things are as much as possible are open, right? I understand like with the IGG, that actually makes sense to me because it's private citizens. That makes sense. I think that's okay. But things should be open if it's okay, and then it should be accessible. And like that's what this does. This makes it accessible and easy to find. And so like I appreciate that, because in other states it's like there's things that might be open or public, but like you can't, good luck finding it. You know what I mean? Like unless you submit a FOIA or I don't even know. So I wish every state had something like this. I think that would be really good for the public, to have. So but I appreciate y'all being here, you guys. Let me go back to my original things. Here we go. But tomorrow we're going to have a big stream for covering more of week 4. And as I've said before, for Karen Reed, they only have court on Tuesday. So I'm going to try to stream that, and we should be able to get all caught up before the following week starts. So tomorrow we will pick up where we left off with Jen McHugh on Cross, and I will have for you guys the world premiere of the music video for Get Low Canton Style. I'm so freaking excited, you guys. It's going to be hilarious. I can't wait for that. So I've been working on it and I have it almost done. So we will have that tomorrow, and then we will have also the rest of we'll have the next part of that week 4 recap. So make sure you tune in. Love you guys. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for being a squirrel. Thanks for asking questions and participating. It wouldn't be any fun without having y'all here. And I appreciate everybody. Yeah, there's snow. There's snow. So love y'all, and I'm gonna go ahead and roll the outro. See you guys tomorrow.